Okay.
Okay. Do you want to open up what the session's about in case you share it later? What the session is? Or
Oh, sure. So welcome everyone. I'm Denise Cason. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions here at UT Dallas for our MBA program. And today we're going to be talking about balancing your MBA with family, with the work, family, school balance. And I have 3 of our current students, Sarah, Rob, and Jace, that are going to tell you a little bit about themselves, which program they're currently participating in, as well as a little bit about their family and how they're juggling everything. So, Sarah, do you want to get us started?
Sure. Hi, I'm Sarah. I am a first-year full-time MBA student, and I have 5 kids and a husband at home, and decided to do this as my kids were old enough to all be in school and to make a kind of a career pivot. I was an English major and did some journalism and design type stuff before I stayed at home with my children. So yeah, I don't know if you want me to go into what we do now or kind of wait for more specific questions, but I made sure to get my husband and kids on board, and I do a lot of prioritizing and I'm very intentional about how I use my time and effort, and we can go more into that later.
Okay, great. Rob?
Yeah, so I was a watchmaker before I decided to pursue my MBA. I kind of got to a point in my life where it's like, okay, what is there beyond the life of watches? So I sat down with my wife. At the time, we had a almost 2-year-old, and we said, okay, can we do this? And like, yeah, I think we can balance it. And then in the first semester, you quickly find out, okay, balancing it might be a little bit tougher than what I thought. But I at the same time, like my daughter was old enough to where she could start to occupy herself. So it wasn't the end of the world. It was kind of figuring out our schedule wise, okay, where am I going to dedicate the family time versus the school time? And it went okay that first semester. But the first semester I also think is your busiest and hardest semester as well. Second semester comes around, decided to take 5 classes as opposed to 6 classes. And it was definitely a little bit easier than what some of my peers were saying that they had when it came to taking 6 classes. But on the flip side, I had the family at home as well. And then we got whammy. We found out we were pregnant again. So that changed what the perspective was. Second semester overall wasn't overwhelming when it came to the family life. That third semester decided to bump back up to 6 credit hours, 6 classes, and 18 credit hours. And life got a little more interesting. Having a pregnant wife at home who wasn't quite able to do as much with our daughter as before. So it was a little bit of a juggling act. Academics weren't quite as easy that semester. And then this semester, fourth semester with the baby come, we actually had the baby the day after my last final. So that was lucky. This semester, I've balanced it out differently than a lot of MBAs do. I'm taking 2 classes for credit, and then I was able to take 4 classes as an audit just to kind of expose myself and still feel like I was maximizing the educational experience. So it's been interesting. I think 2 classes for me was the right approach, having a newborn in the house. But at the same time, we had 4 other people that had babies during the time that I went through this whole MBA program, with the last one coming about 6 days ago. So it's doable if anybody is thinking about having a kid during the program. And it's definitely manageable if you already have kids at home. So
Great. Jace?
Yeah, hey there. My name's Jace Spencer. I'm in the professional cohort, so I work full time for PepsiCo, and then our classes are in the evenings. And so it's full time and on track for a 2-year program. You go year round. So it's kind of a lot of workload just to balance work and school. And then if you have a family, it can be a little bit more interesting as well. So I have my wife, and then I have 2 kids, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. So life's a little busy here, but I think for me, a big thing is being on the same page with your spouse or your partner, if you have kids at home, and just kind of understanding, what you're willing to give up front. You don't want to jump into an MBA without having discussed some of the give and takes that are going to have happen. I think having a plan is really pivotal, and doing your best to hold yourself accountable to the plan, because it's really easy to be like, wow, work's really heavy, school's really heavy, I'm going to check out of my family responsibilities. But I do think you always have to keep in mind, the balance of everything, and to have a healthy life, you really do have to balance those times. Work may struggle a bit, or school may struggle a bit, or family may struggle a bit, but you don't just let one drive fall to the wayside. And so in terms of how I manage it, obviously I go to work, regular work hours. Mondays and Wednesdays, we have classes from 5:30 till 9 to 9:30 at night. And so on the off days when I don't have school, I usually do homework from like 10 to midnight, and then a couple hours on the weekend. And when tests come around, you just find extra time. So which is where we're at right now. But in general, the program's really great. I really like how the program just balances the work. And so what I'm learning in class, I can see a direct correlation to what I'm doing at work a lot of the times. And so I think it's just really valuable, and I'm really happy with the way that I've chose to take the program.
Hey, Jason, Sarah, I got a question for you guys. Have you found that you are far more proactive in your planning of the entire semester than what some of your peers are? Like, do you look at what's due at the end? Can I start on that now?
Yeah, I think you have to be, look at that syllabus, make a plan, write the dates out, kind of get like a general view of what's coming. I definitely know what's coming more often than like my group members. I'm like, have you guys looked into this yet? They're like, oh, not yet. I'm like, oh, okay, well, jump on it.
Yeah. How about you, Sarah?
Yeah, I have to plan out, and it doesn't mean I actually get started on everything ahead of time, but I very carefully plan my time. I know what's coming. And another thing is, when we're talking about being intentional with time, I have a day set aside for family and worship on Sundays. And so I've just said, I'm not, to myself, my family, and my team members, I'm not doing work on that day. Now, that wouldn't go over very well if I just said, whatever, I'm not showing up. I also lay out my plan. Like, I introduce a plan of how I think how we can get it done together. I say what I'm going to do and by when. And so I don't feel like, there may have been times that my groups have wanted to maybe meet on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon or something, but generally it's, they've been understanding. We just plan around it. And then if I have, if I'm not available, then we figure it out ahead of time. And so I think people are understanding when you show that you're going to pull your weight, that you have a plan, and you're going to help make the group successful. Everybody's very understanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that brings up a really good point, just as far as working with your team. Can you all expand on that a little bit, and how that has been beneficial for you in your coursework, as well as just helping you balance other things, and how receptive have they been if you aren't available at certain times?
I'll leave that one up. I tend to be the type of person where I'll drop anything for if we have a group conversation. Like, I'll just check in on my phone if I have to or whatever. But I might be different than some of the other parents within the cohort. Like Sarah, you definitely probably plan yours out with the more rigid rules than what I do. But for me, it's like any day of the week, anytime. Like unless I'm physically not capable of jumping on a call. But I explained to them, hey, I'm not gonna have my computer, guys, but I'll listen and tell you guys what my opinion is on it. But I try to be very proactive and doing the advanced planning and making sure that we're hitting our targets so that those last minute meetings don't really pop up. And I think you had the advantage of having to have that added structure in your life, having a family in place that really, if anything, you're adding value to what your peers are experiencing, because it's not all just last minute procrastination. It's at least they have somebody in the group where that there were other people in my groups at times, but most of the time you have people that they're trying to balance all the other aspects of studying in school. They don't really have the foresight of, okay, this project is coming up in a month. Let's go ahead and make sure that we have something in place now so that we're not doing it the last week. So I think my groups tended to do a lot better because we had that active planning. But maybe that's just my personal opinion on it too.
Did you find that you took kind of a leadership role in your?
Yeah, but I mean that's my personality too. And in fact, I think a lot of times as the MBA has gone along, I've tried to kind of plant the seed to get other people to take the leadership role, and tried to take a step back and kind of just give my opinions on things as opposed to forcing it, which I think has been another good part of the program. Like I've got enough stuff going on in my life. Do I really need to make sure that everything is going the way that Rob wants it to go, or can I trust in my peers? So I think having that family to kind of force me to step back has been a good thing in the MBA as well.
Great.
Yeah, and from my perspective, what's nice about the professional cohort is we're all really busy, even if you don't have a family. And so nights are really the only time we have to meet anyway. And so usually we can find times in the nights, and everybody is really understandable. And the nice thing about the way they've set up the program is your teams are established so early on in your semester. For us, our teams are the same throughout all of our classes. And so you really do get to know your group mates, and you can plan ahead and kind of get in a cadence that works well for you. So it's not like, oh, here's your project, you have 3 weeks to do it, figure it out together. You know, you can really build that relationship and kind of get to know each other and understand each other's scenarios and make it work. So
Great. Sarah, how about you? Anything to add?
No, I mean, I think I kind of went into it. Would you like any, or when I talked about how I balance things, would you like any more details on?
Sure. Like if you have specifics.
Um,
I'm still amazed that you have 5 children. Stay so calm.
well, I mean, shouldn't call it the calm of despair, but like, I just have to get through it, you know, and I know that, and I've been around long enough that I know that things work out. If you do your best and you get the support you need, things work out. And so, and it may be that you don't get that. I know you don't get that undergrad GPA because you're not single and young anymore, but you can still have really solid work, get a lot of new knowledge and working with new people, and adds a lot of value.
Sarah, my GPA in the MBA is much higher than my undergrad GPA.
Really?
Yes.
And it does go that way for some people. I think as they have more structure and they have that support, and my approach in my undergrad was to pour myself into school, and I do not have that capability anymore. So I just do the best I can, but I've done fine. Like, I'm not going to be the equivalent of the valedictorian, but you know, I've had a strong showing. Good enough.
That's the thing, is just being able to grow and learn through the program.
Yeah.
And take full advantage of it. And I liked, Jace, what you said. So when I did my MBA, I was working and going to school in the evenings, and I just loved that, you know, whatever I was learning that evening in class, I could literally the next day apply those skills in my work environment, and vice versa. You know, you have real life situations that you can bring to your teams, and problem solving that you can say, you know, let's work together on this and see what solution we can come up with. So yeah, very good. Very good. Well, it sounds like your spouses were very, very important in the process in deciding to do this MBA program. Can you expand just a little bit, and maybe how you set up just, you know, shared responsibilities for the household, for family, you know, what has worked well for you all?
Jace, why don't you kick that off? Because I find yours, like having a commitment at night is probably going to be the toughest part, where I only have had a couple of night classes.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think the only thing I could say is my wife's been a saint. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, definitely be on the same page coming in. We had a lot of conversations. Like we'd known people who had taken this route, and it does take a toll on a family if you're not all on the same page and kind of aware of the burden it's going to be on everybody. So me and my wife had a lot of conversations about that, but we make a plan often, try to find gaps in time throughout the day. So like my 45-hour or 45-minute lunch break, I go out and hang out with the kids, and then right when I come back, I'll bring my lunch back into to my office and eat while I work. So I do have that little time to give her a break, and my wife works part-time, and so there's times where I get off work and I take the kids for 3 or 4 hours to get them out of the house so she can really focus on and get stuff that she needs to done and stuff. So I mean, it's so much of it's kind of a hodgepodge balance of planning and making it work and making sacrifices. And sometimes I don't sleep much, get a little less rest because I need to get schoolwork done. But I'm happy that I got time with the kids and with her. And so I think it's really just give and take, sacrifice, plan, and do your best. It's really it's all I've been trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Have you always worked at home, or is this a continuation of working remotely from COVID?
Yeah, continuation from COVID. Yeah, so I've been going back to the office once to twice a week at this point, which makes it a little bit harder. I've been trying to balance those on school days, so they're actually just really long days, and so those other days I can actually be as helpful as I can with my wife. So, but I kind of am nervous to see what happens if they have us come back all the way to work. So who knows?
Right. Right. You had that kind of built-in flexibility of,
Yeah.
just being able to sit in front of your computer. Oh, we're, at work, and then move over. Okay, now we're in class. And so,
Yeah, it's easy to switch from work Jace to dad Jace to school Jace, and back and forth and back and forth. So it's pretty lucky.
yeah. Sarah or Rob, you have anything to add?
Go for it, Sarah.
Can
Well,
we?
you went through
Can you
this.
tell me again where we started? I was listening to
Yeah.
it.
Well,
And then I was like, what was the original question?
I think for you, you had been through it on the other side because your husband had stopped working and did a full-time MBA program. So
Yeah.
maybe talk a little bit about that, and then on the flip side for you now.
Yeah, my husband about 13 years ago completed his full-time MBA. So we had we actually had a baby while he was in his program, our third baby. And yeah, I kind of just said, well, this is what he needs to do. And so he said, well, I'll be gone from, 7:30 to 6 at night. And then he was home, and then sometimes he had homework, but and so he didn't take quite as many credit hours as we do. It was a full 2-year program, so it was a little more spread out. But yeah, we just knew that this was part of our family goal, and I got support that I needed also as the spouse at home by, like, I had some family living in town and made new friends. And now with us, I think he wants to give me that opportunity because I did that for him. And he is working mostly from home, which has helped a lot. So we just try to communicate, and I try to check in. And like, there was a day that I really probably should have been working more on homework, but I felt the pull that my husband needed my attention, extra attention beyond just coordinating kids and handing off. One person's driving somewhere and one person's driving the other place. And so, yeah, that's a lot of how we've handled it. He's really encouraging. He's been helping me, and he's a financial analyst. And so he's been helping me with my Excel class.
Live-in tutor.
Yeah. He opens up the VBA and I say, how do I do this? Yeah. He's a good tutor. He can slow down and explain why we do each step.
Yeah. That's
And the
great.
kids are okay. Like, I think if you have a united front with your partner and don't talk negatively about it and still are checking in with them about what do they really need. And I could probably do a little bit better on that, but that they're okay with it, and hoping that they see how important education is so that they'll sacrifice for it as they get older.
Mm-hmm. And even with your children, seeing the example that both you and your husband have, and the collaboration is something that they'll definitely remember.
Yeah, he's been great. I think that I don't know if it's the same for men as for women, but as a mother, I had a lot, especially as a stay-at-home mom, I had a lot of ideas about what a good mother and a good, good in quotation marks, right? Good mother and good wife did. And it's been good to see that as he's happily taken on, cooking dinner, driving to piano lessons, things like that, that we have this really, it's improved our relationship, I think, in a lot of ways, because he's been able to step up and support me in ways I think I didn't always allow before, because I thought certain things were my domain.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that's not everybody take that with how you will, but yeah.
I'm not going to say that on camera, by the way.
Oh, great. Rob, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think for us, it was like the second I would get my syllabus at the beginning of the semester from all my classes, I would go into Excel and just create a calendar from week to week that spelled out like specifically, okay, these are the homework assignments that I have. These are all the exams that I have. And then I would email that to my wife and it would be like color coded. So it was super easy for her to be able to look at it and build her schedule out. And then I would always like, a week before an exam, I'd be like, I've got an exam coming up next week, or I've got 2 exams or a big project, whatever it was, so that she had a better understanding of maybe the stress and workload that I had coming up, so that if I needed more time on Saturday or Sunday, she understood that there was a reason behind it. But it was like figuring out, okay, when her stress level was going up and when I needed to take a step away, maybe stay up on some of those later nights, stay up till midnight, just to make sure that I'm giving her the time. But like from the get-go, like bath time with my daughter was always my responsibility, just to give my wife a break from that and give her some peace and quiet time. So it was just trying to do whatever you can to help your spouse out along the way when you have the opportunity to, because there's definitely going to be times when you don't have the opportunity to help them out because you need to study on, focus on homework or a project or whatever it might be. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just sounds like that. Keeping the lines of communication open. No surprises. Didn't you know that I have a test tomorrow? Why are you bugging me to go to the store? That kind of thing.
Well, I mean, that stuff's still going to happen. Let's be honest.
Right.
Like, that's part of being married.
You're still in a marriage, right? Yeah, but I know.
Yeah.
I was just thinking my husband and I do that, and we don't even have kids in the house anymore. But it's just, I've got clients in town this week. I'm going to be doing dinners and just always keeping those lines of communication open, letting each other know what's going on for the week and the evenings, just so you know what to expect.
Yeah, I think everybody has to be willing to ask for what they need, which means you also have to identify what you need, which can be hard, but yeah, like, oh, I think I need a break.
Mm-hmm.
We need to go have a date night, or yeah. And so identifying and asking for what you need is really important. Like last weekend, I just had thing upon thing to do, and I told my husband, which this has not happened yet, I think, in the whole program, but I just said, I need all day Saturday. Can that work for us? And he said, yeah, go to school and I'll handle it all. And that wouldn't work for our family every week, but we communicated about that, and he was happy to support, and it took a lot of stress off of me knowing that I could get my stuff done.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. You mentioned about a date night. Is there something, since you've all been in school, have you set up, okay, Friday night, we're going to make sure we do something, go to a movie, do dinner, or every other week? Is there something that you've kind of set aside time to do that?
We're not as good at that as we should be or have been in the past, but I would say that's more about the kids than about school at this point. I mean, I actually had a classmate ask about doing something on a Friday night recently, and I just said, well, if we cannot do it, I think I've had one thing that came up on a Friday night that we just had to, but you know, I try to keep that open for family. I think it would be better if there were a set date night, but then again, that's a lot of that is that awareness I talked about is my spouse maybe feeling neglected, would going out to eat while he's working from home and I happen to not be on campus for lunch when the kids, you know, we're not driving kids to their weekend activities without work. So a schedule would be good if you can pull that off, but just that general awareness where that's always a priority. That's always something you're thinking about. It's how your spouse is doing and your kids.
Yeah, definitely. Chase or Rob, have you guys set up anything like that?
For us, we set out Friday nights for date nights, and we actually don't have any family in town, and we haven't really nailed down a babysitter, so we've just been doing like make your own date at night. So we switch off plan again. So we'll pull up like YouTube and do like a painting class from somebody on YouTube, or we'll plan a dinner to make with a movie to watch, you know. But we do try to make it more than just let's eat dinner and watch Netflix, you know. So yeah, we have set aside Friday, and that's more recent. We've been doing it for like 2 months now, but it's been really good, you know, just to make sure that we set aside that time for us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
most of my start was in like the heat of COVID, so there wasn't really an opportunity to go
Y'all
out
were
a
home
whole
a
lot of days.
lot.
Yeah, but to put it in perspective, like my birthday was yesterday, and we didn't go out.
Hey.
But that's kind of a summation of how it's not. Like we do a lot of ordering out, and just eat it at home with the. Before we're just the one kid, or now having two. It's like unless we have family that's in town to look after the kids, we probably personally. But I mean, we've had plenty of date nights in the past. We'll have plenty of dates in the future. Like it's just okay. Let's just get through this, and it'll happen again. That's kind of the approach that we've had to it. But we do try like on Saturdays. We have a pretty big support group of friends that live here in the DFW area. So I'd say probably 2 Saturdays out of the month, we try to hang out with that group of friends to kind of give us that, okay, let's get out of the house and do something. So yeah, that's our version of a date night.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about the MBA sponsored events or social events that your cohorts have put on? Is that something that you have been able to participate in with your schedules, or has that been tough to do?
So for me, they didn't really exist until the very end of last semester, and the first one took place on December the 10th. And I believe that I mentioned earlier that my child was born on the day after my last final. My last final was December the 9th, and yeah, so that social event was definitely not something that I was able to attend, or it was like 2 days later, I think. So no, for me, I live 40 minutes away as well, so it was a little more challenging just to get back out of the house or to stay at campus. And an MBA event typically involves a couple of drinks, so yeah, it doesn't line up with living in Keller for me. So that's my experience on it. I think Sarah's might be a little bit different, or Jason's if you guys do them at night, but that's where I stand on it.
Great.
I don't know if the professional, I'd be interested to hear what the professional cohort does, but I don't usually make it to those. Part of it is because they're held at times when I've already said this is my family's time. And some of it is just, so the MBA sponsored events, I'm usually there if I can be, and those are great. And the social events, I've been to one that was actually a family event. So that was really nice that our social chairs planned a family event. But yeah, I don't always make it to those, but I try to be really friendly and really helpful, offer help to the cohort. So we build our relationships more that way. I build my relationships more that way with my cohort members than going to the other different activities when I need to be with my family.
Right. Jace, how about you?
For me, sadly, I haven't been able to them. Like the sponsored school events, I know the people in my cohort have made it to them, but usually they're like at 5 on like a Thursday or something, or Tuesday, and sometimes that's not our class night. And all of us live, not all of us, many of us live like 40 minutes away, so it makes it hard to get there after work, fighting traffic and stuff. So,
Right.
but I do know some of them make it a priority, but I haven't had a chance to make it. And then, but one thing that our cohort has done, um, many of them will just plan just like a informal gathering, right? We'll go out to a bar on Friday, and it's like bring your spouse if you want, and I haven't had a chance to make it out just because of the little kids and no family to watch them, but I know they have had great turnouts to those events. So it is cool that the cohort is really like a little family for some people, and it becomes a social group for many. But my family is my social group right now.
Yeah, and I think that might go for the same for our cohort. It seemed like the ones who had kids, we would invite people over to our house because then we could all bring the kids or whatever. So that might be anybody who's coming in with a family. That might be more the route that they might cluster into. But if you have a good sitter and your wife is on you or your husband's on you to get out of the house because you're studying too much, then I think there are those opportunities to be able to go and hang out with some of your cohort or some of the other cohorts that are involved through UT Dallas. So.
Yeah, definitely. I remember one of our alumni, she had kids at the time doing the full-time program, and she said, the best thing that she set up was I'll be the base, I'll provide snacks, you all come over. That way she didn't have to worry about she was a single mom, so she didn't have to worry about getting childcare and all that. And so she's like, I'll have snacks and everybody come over, we'll do our group project at my house. So that definitely worked for her and her situation at the time. So well, I wanted just to see if there was any, like, one little piece of advice that you would give to our candidates starting the program. Anything that you just say, this is the one thing that I encourage you to do, or that I wish that I had known to do when I started the program.
Denise, I see that we have someone that just came on. Maybe they'd like to ask a question before.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not trying to.
Yeah, no. Cason, if you'd like to unmute and ask our panelists a question.
It's a lot of pressure.
I know.
If not, it's okay.
Putting you on the spot. Good thing is we've been recording, so we'll have this available on YouTube.
I'll answer your question in the meantime.
Okay.
I'd say for me, it was all about planning. Like once I figured out how to get everything planned, after that first semester, it became a lot easier to have the foresight and see what's on the horizon. And that made the balancing, giving my wife the opportunity to understand what was coming up a lot easier. So I did an okay job of that the first semester, but like semesters 2, 3, and 4 were much more well prepared and had a game plan of exactly how I was going to attack everything. So that helped. Do that from the get-go.
Yes. Great. Anything else, Chase, Sarah?
Trying to think of one thing, I mean, so many things I've already learned, but I think for me it's just understanding what you're getting into. An MBA isn't an easy thing, or else everyone can do it. And if you want a lot of value out of it, you're not just there to get your degree. You need to dig in and try to learn and see what it means for you. And so just understanding that it's going to be work, and you're going to have to change your lifestyle to get the most out of it. Whatever you were doing before the MBA, things are going to change. If you want to really be successful, if you're in the full-time, really to nail that big job, you're going to have to network and do a lot of stuff. So just in general, it's just a lot of work, but it's going to be really worth it, because in the 2 semesters we're in, like, I've learned a ton, and I'm just really happy with the program. The teachers are great. It's just exciting to see like what the opportunities might be after. So
Great. Thank you.
so I was going to put on a nicer shirt today, but then I found, so this is from my kids' PTA. I think you can see it. We can do virtually anything.
Oh,
And that's the we, and we can do anything, right? And so I really liked what Jay said too about knowing what you're in the MBA program for. And I was very, as I contemplated like the second phase of my life when my kids were not so little and didn't need so much attention, you know, categorizing my strengths and weaknesses and what my interests were, and if I wanted to go back into the same field that I was in before I stayed home, and even while I did like contract work sometimes in different areas while I was at home as well. And when I knew that the MBA was what I really wanted to do, it would get me where I needed to go. That helps a lot with pushing through. And so I think that's a big thing, to just make sure you're really clear with yourself, with your spouse or partner or children, if you have them, about what the outcome of this is, and that it's not forever. You know, it'll be over, and then, you know, maybe you're able to go into that job that you're really interested in where you can really shine. You're able to increase your salary significantly, able to make all these friends. I mean, I've made tons of friends. They don't seem to mind that I'm in a different phase of life than most of them are. And so Rob and I are in the same phase of life. And so, yeah, just that purpose and then all the other things everybody else has said, the organization and the planning and the prioritization.
I want to add one more thing too. I would say be as active of a participant as you possibly can in class. To give you an example, so my daughter had the flu earlier this week, and one of my classes it's pretty much mandatory attendance if you want to learn what's going on in class. Like, he doesn't give you the opportunity to have a recorded lecture or anything like that. So I'm probably the most active participant in that class, and I sent him an email on Monday and I said, just letting you know, there's no way that I'm going to be able to attend class on Tuesday. My daughter just tested positive for the flu. I was like, if there's any way I could have a recorded version of the class, if you have it for the online class. Not expecting him to say yes, because he had already made it very clear that he doesn't do that. And he responded back with, for you, yes, I'll post it to e-learning tomorrow. So if you can build those relationships with your professors so that they understand that, hey, I'm in this to further myself and make myself better, and I'm going to be an active learner, and add to the classroom experience. Though most of the time they will be willing to make exceptions for the ones that they know are genuinely invested in their education. So be as active as you can. Try to get your fellow classmates involved. Your professors will really notice it. They'll be more willing to write letters of recommendation for you, vouch for you. So just those little things, but as active as you can possibly be is the best recommendation that I have outside of family.
Yeah, that's a great point. Just, getting involved up front, and also, I mean, things happen, there's even, you all have another layer of things that can happen with your children. You just never know when you're going to get pulled into a different direction. So having those connections and that relationship already with the professors is so important. So very, very good. Very good. Well, if we have any questions, we're happy to open it up. If not, then we can wrap it up here. So I want to thank you all so much for your time today during your very busy schedules, balancing everything. But thank you so much. If attendees do have questions, feel free to reach out to the MBA program directly, and I'm happy to connect you with any of the panelists if you would like to talk to them on a more detailed basis. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate all your help.
Thanks,
Hey, thank you all.
You can do it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.